Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another pro Dota commentary done by Luminous. This is LGD.sGty versus DK, and this is back in 6.71b, I believe, about 1.5 to 2 years ago. One of the remaining Dota 1 matches that was played in China. And the reason I'm casting this game is because ZSMJ will be playing Medusa. As you guys know, Medusa was recently released in Dota 2, so this is a good throwback cast to kind of remember what Medusa is capable of. Now, before I get into the game, a lot of you guys is asking, is this game that ZSMJ farms 720 creep kills in 55 minutes? No, that's not the game. And the reason I'm not casting that game, even though it's probably one of the best Dota 1 game involving Medusa in Dota history, probably the best Medusa game in history. I'm not casting that game because I cast it twice already. And then if you want to see that cast, you could go to this channel and then search LuminousInverse LGD.sGty versus eHome ZSMJ 720. You can just input those keywords and it'll come up. So that's a great game. I recommend if you want more Medusa hype, go check that one out. But this one is gonna be LGD.sGty on Sentinel versus DK on Scourge, and this is for the Dota Masters tournament back in 2011, I believe. But in any case, let's get the game on the road because we have a lot of great players and a lot of great heroes in this game. Yaphets, that's right, on Brown, we'll be playing Shadow Fiend. You guys will be asking me about Yaphets Shadow Fiend all day long. Well, here's Yaphets Shadow Fiend for you. ZSMJ, like I said, will be playing Medusa, the most iconic farmer back in Dota 1 by far. YYF will be playing his Clockwork, which is extremely famous. Chuan, I believe, will be playing his Windrunner. I'm not too sure on that. And I'm not going to spoil everything else. Burning will be playing a very interesting hero as well. So, not going to talk too much about the draft. As you guys know, this is 2 years ago, so the draft not going to be too important to discuss. Let me talk about some of the heroes that you don't see in the pro games too often, and I'll talk through why they might not be there or why they are here in this particular game. So Lich, a hero that we don't see nowadays, but was pretty popular about a year ago in Dota 2 and extremely popular back in this stage in Dota 1, simply because, as you guys might expect, he is able to deny creeps like crazy. And I think this is the pre-nerf version when he just got buffed a bit, where his Stark Ritual was able to eat up a lot of creep and get a lot of mon return. It has a very low cooldown of what, 30 seconds to level 1. So that's basically one creep every 30 seconds, so that means every 5 minutes or so you're denying 10 creeps, and that's a lot of EXP. I just did some very basic math for you guys. Yay. Alright, of course, Batrider is a hero that we've seen throughout the ages of Dota 2, so don't need to talk too much about it. Visage, of course, a trialing specialist. I do believe this is a weakened version of Visage because his soul assumption will cost a ton of mana and will not be able to do as much spamming as he used to. But this is looking to be a very powerful trialing setup already with Visage as well as Earthshaker. You can put a Batrider along with that, and that would be a pretty decent trialing. If not, you could put another trialing hero. And then, of course, Vengeful Spirit, a hero that we don't see too often back in Dota 2. Very powerful hero in Dota 1, simply because a lot of times you're playing that kind of 4 protect 1 strat. You are putting all your eggs in that one basket. And should that one basket ever get jumped on, ever get initiated on, defensive swap is always a good answer, and that's why Vengeful Spirit is a very popular hero. Of course, when you're playing Clockwork, you don't want them to have the Vengeful Spirit in case of defensive swaps and whatnot, so that's a very powerful answer to it as well. And Windrunner is going to be the final pick here. So LGD looking pretty strong with the Lich on the long lane, a tri-lane involving a Medusa, and either a solo Windrunner, but more likely a solo Clock, because tri-lane Clock has never been done in at least Chinese Dota, at least in the games that I've seen. So it's going to be a Clockwork versus a Shadow Fiend matchup, and we're going to see Burning. Yes, Burning playing a Priestess of the Moon. Now, Priestess of the Moon, not exactly known for her carry potential, but if you stack enough items on her, she will actually do insane amount of damage. So, quickly introducing the player here, Burning will be playing on that Priestess of the Moon or Potom. Crow Kaisai is going to actually be King J. I remember I took a long time figuring out the original tags and I had to write it down on a cheat sheet. But yeah, that's King J. And this is I Reborn, which is KSSSS, which, by the way, very surprising to see KSSS playing the Visage instead of King J, because King J is known to be one of the best Visage player in China. and that's a very prestigious title. Of course, Yaphet will be going on the mid lane on the Shadow Fiend or Nevermore. I kind of want him to have his joke name of Yaphets on Yaphets, because that would have been cute to see. And last but not least, we have Prometheus on that rider. Of course, this is Shergan, former player from LGD, so a little bit of LGD grudge match, as you will. Meanwhile, back on the top lane here, we're going to have 830 playing Lich with boots first. Of course, that's pretty popular if you're going on the long lane to sacrifice or Dark Ritual. We have YYF playing his world-famous Clock. And then we have Vengeful Spirit being handled by Steffi, which I believe is CH. And then we have ZSMJ, of course, on that Medusa. And last but not least, Chuan playing that Windrunner. Before there was Live Heaven Shackle Shot, and after there was the YYF Shackle Shot, we used to call them Chuan Shackle Shots. And hopefully we'll see some Chuan Shackle Shots in this particular game. This guy knows how to shackle, and shackle like a boss. So my eyes is peeled for that one. So it's going to be offensive trialing involving an Earthshaker Visage as well as a Marana. And this is one of the more nuky trialing possible, and of course with the ability to leap up close. If you think you could get away, you probably cannot. So the positioning of Sentinel players have to be absolutely supreme. But with that said, you do have two 600 range hero and a Vengeful Spirit. That's a lot of harassment range, and there's a decent amount of survivability in this lane as well. So I quickly want to point out that Medusa did not go stats at level 1. And you might be saying, why are you pointing that out, Luminous? Would a hero ever go stat for level 1? Yes, Medusa does. Because if you think about it, as you can see that she's spamming her Mystic Snake. Her Mystic Snake is actually a very low damage spell, and the fact that you're stealing a very little mana is probably insignificant. Generally, when you in a protected trial lane or in a free farm lane, you don't actually get Mystic Snake at level 1. The reason that he got Mystic Snake at level 1 is because he's up against a trial lane, and if you can possibly steal mana from 3 hero, then you are more than enough paying for your own Mystic Snake. So generally go stats at 1. That's the thing I want to point out here. But of course not in this case. Back in midnight here, it's going to be Clock with 4-1 CF 5-1 against a Shadow Fiend being played by Yaphets. If you guys never watched Yaphets Shadow Fiend, you guys are missing out. The most iconic Dota 1 Shadow Fiend player, simply because he is, well, he originally used to be a pub star, and Shadow Fiend is a great pub star hero. As you get on advantage and you just get very quick getting kills in here and there. And I gotta say, the entrance of Shadow Fiend into the pro scene was largely popularized by Yaphets. Well, maybe that's not absolutely true, because Shadow Fiend has been in the pro scene for a long time, but the fact that he's such a dominant hero was really thanks to Yaphets. And well, we'll see how he's going to play out in this particular game. We're going to see a roam going on the mid lane here, not just dropping a ward, and this ward will be seen by the Sentinel, as they already have a ward there as well. And actually noting that Shaker has kind of went off the lane, you can see that these guys are actually playing a lot more aggressive, and that's a very good reaction. If you ever see the trialing hero leave the lane, you could actually, if you have a trialing, you could be a little bit more aggressive. Good fissure here. Shackle Shot is gonna just apply a mini stun here on the Priestess, and between the fissure as well as the Soul Assumption, they're gonna drop ZSMJ to a very low health, and without actually having a self, ZSMJ can't really actually go up to lane and CS. So this is kind of one of the big weakness of going for this Ring of Protection for GG Branch and a Ancient Tangle. You really want the self to actually, you can see that he's actually standing here for 20 to 30 seconds, actually not CSing at all. And that's why you don't generally see this build nowadays anymore. It was actually a very popular build back then, because you're maximizing on the stats, you're having the ability to upgrade to a Ring of Poseidon, and still retaining on the most amount of restorative that you could actually carry. But it does have its weaknesses. Back in the middle here, Shadow Fiend 7-6 here, actually doing a very good job denying. Look at that CS, look at that raise, driving back YYF. But YYF is actually out CSing Yaphet by quite a bit, and that's kind of pretty impressive. I mean, despite the low damage here on Shadow Fiend, or low starting damage on Shadow Fiend, is a ranged hero, so should actually out CS. Clockhook Fissure is, ooh, arrow's gonna hit on Chuan. First blood is happening on the top lane though. I did not expect the first blood to happen there as well. And Tower now focusing on Reborn, and KSSS will be actually fine. And sorry for missing that first blood out there, but Bat Rider has actually gotten a kill on our Lich. So Lich got the stack on him pretty much so, and the Nova was not able to help him out. So sorry for missing that one, but I did not expect the first blood will happen on a 1v1 situation. But that will put the Bat Rider very far ahead. Whenever you get those solo kills, you're going to be up a single level at the very least, and a lot of goals. So Lich has got to be playing very careful from this point, especially before he hits level 6 and have access into the Chain Frost. So, haven't talked too much about this bot trialing here, but as you expect, this trialing is going to be nuke, 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 while applying a lot of slows and stuns. So right now, what the Sentinel trialing got to be very, very careful of is when you're getting stunned by the fissure, that Mirana does not have a clear kind of angle to shoot an arrow on you. So kind of always put a creep or two in between yourself and the Mirana. And of course, you always got to be careful of the long range of that fissure. Looks like Shaker's gonna come around here to grab that illusion rune. Illusion rune not gonna the biggest deal here. Mostly gonna just deny it here from the Clockwork. Although Shadow Fiend could pick it up for himself. Actually, Shadow Fiend very behind in terms of gold. As you can see, he doesn't even have his bottle just yet. Meanwhile, Clock does already have his bottle, although he skipped out on the boost of speed. So Shadow Fiend going for a little bit more survivability, which is a very, very good choice considering that, well, if you don't go for the survivability item, very easy for the Clock to hook in and start getting easy kills on you. On the top lane here, Batrider, 25 CS against Lich's 6 CS. Wow! Now, obviously, there's a lot of denies that's not shown here, but you can see that Batrider is just driving that Lich off the lane thanks to that Napalm. And if that Lich ever takes too much Napalm here, it's very easy for Batrider to go for it. I mean, exactly, there's 4 stack, and I think we might... No, it's going to turn around. A little bit too far away and not going to go for that kill. Back in mid lane here, Shaker is in position using illusions and it's going to hit him with the fissure. The Raze is going to do a little bit of harass, but yeah, with the help of with the help of Shaker, Shadow Fiend is able to get some free CS, and that's going to allow him to hit that magic bottle, which is very, very crucial for him to spam and grab that rune. But with the Shaker leaving the lane, you can see that these guys are moving on very, very much so. And Medusa CS 12 and 3, not too bad considering that he's facing against Trial Lane, but not too good either. Meanwhile, Mirana's got 19 and 12, so you can see that Burning doing his thing, you know. Before Burning, there was Zoe and ZSMJ, but Burning definitely know how to CS. Well, Burning's pretty old school player as well. Burning, of course, you're popularized in Dota 2 as the most iconic farmer, but Dota 1 is ZSMJ stealing all his glory. In this particular game, though, farming his pants off with Mirana. Rune is going to be grabbed by Earthshaker. Does he even have mana for another fissure? He will now when he pops that clarity, but he is completely seen by a couple of observer wards here on the bot lane. It looks like Clockwork's got to be somewhat careful because Shaker is going to be coming right in. This creep we're driving while we have completely off the lane. I mean, if you guys are wondering why isn't there any kind of kills in this Dota game, well, this is Chinese Dota back in 2011, and there weren't a lot of kills. So a big disclaimer aside, if you're watching this game and you're looking for kills, well, grab popcorns because it's going to take you a couple of minutes to see a couple more kills. Lich has gotten a level 7. Has expected somebody to come in right now, of course, thanks to this observer ward scouting things out, and he's going to come on the mid lane here, grab a little bit of CS. My question is, when is that Clockwork going to start ganking? Generally, when you get Clockwork on solo mid position, you expect him to get a lot of EXP, which he has done so already, almost level 7, but you also expect him to help your team out by doing a lot of ganks, and so far he has not done it. Looks like ZSMJ doing a creep pool on his own, and allowing the winner to get a little bit of EXP in lane, and of course she could get a little bit more EXP and creep kills in the jungle as well. Lich has actually rotated back up top here. No teleport scroll on the Lich, which is very surprising to see considering that Lich does have one of the best counter ganking I saw in the entire game with that Chain Frost. And do we have a teleport scroll on the Clockwork? Yes, we do, and that's the more important thing as well. Clockwork also a very powerful counter ganker, but you could TP in when they're going on Medusa, for example, and hook right in and really turn that gank around. But seems like both teams just content to farm, content to trade EXP, and I gotta say, you gotta be very, very very scared of a Medusa that's trading farm with you. Now, obviously, it's not really a fair trade considering that Medusa only got 15 creep kill, and of course, Mirana doubling her creep kill with 34. And also, you got to keep in mind as we see that they're going to run into the nice magic missile here by CA trying to bait out that leap, and looks like they have bait out the leap, and Mirana very, very low. It's going to pop the magic wand as well as the salve and should be fine. Oh, the rocket going to cancel the salve. Very nicely done. You can see that the immediate TP went in here by the Clockwork as soon as the Mirana got this shot. Maybe looking for a Clockwork snipe kill with a hook shot. Didn't get the kill, but forced Mirana back after burning herself, so that's very nicely done. But of course, Dev Burn had teleport scroll here from the Clockwork, so well, we'll be rewarded with this trouble by a illusion rune. And it looks like Smoke of the Seed has been activated. It looks like they want to get a kill on the mid lane against Earthshaker or Shadow Fiend. Really don't think they could get it against either one, though. There is going to be a ward scoping out this kind of initiation path coming from the Clockwork, so yeah, Shadow Fiend, despite having a very, very slow start up in the beginning, now we should be fine. And as I say that, though, trying to come in with the gank, nope. yeah, a lot of kind of failed attempts from both teams. They're trying to set up kills here and there, but really unable to do so. And going back to what I talked about earlier, the scary thing to think about is that, yeah, trading farm against ZSMJ, but the even scarier thing to think about is that the Scourge team is so powerful as a mid-game lineup that, sure, trading kills might not be the most normal thing to do against the ZSMJ team, or against the Medusa team, but trading farm to actually ensure you have a very, very powerful mid-game and win the game before ZSMJ gets farmed, that's a game-winning strategy. And let's see if DK could pull this one off, because Mirana, Earthshaker, Vices, Shadow Fiend, as well as Batrider, this team goes about 40-45 minutes, and if you could win the game then, it's very easy to do so, because your new card, you do have a lot of physical damage, thanks to Shadow Fiend's presence of Dark Lord, as well as his souls, and of course the nuke damage coming from Mirana, Visage, and Batrider initiation. So they have it all. The ganks, they have damage, they have the pushing, they have the right clicks. So it's really up to Sentinel to kind of hold their fort, and they gotta hold their fort. Now, one thing I haven't really talked about too much is the fact of what Medusa is weak against. I mean, we know what Medusa Mana Shield can do. You know, she could tank a lot of damage using her HP as well as her mana. But one of the best way to actually counter her is to use minus armor. And when you see things like, you know, Shadow Fiend presence, Dark Lord, that's a strict counter pick in a sense. Of course, Shadow Fiend push very fast. Well, Shadow Fiend reaches his prime a lot quicker than Medusa does. So you expect DK to take the fight to ZSMJ and his LGD team very soon. Maybe in the next 5-10 minutes or so, starting to gank a lot, start to push a lot of towers. Again, the game seems very slow right now, but DK is really in control of this game, at least the pace of the game. And very soon we're going to see them to start ganking and whatnot. But meanwhile, on the top lane here, it looks like LGD wants to set up a kill against the Batrider. Perhaps you can see that Lich will be playing a little bit more aggressive, or maybe playing a little bit more idiotic and try to bait things out. Meanwhile, Medusa, without the help of two support heroes here, will not get any CS. Back on the top lane here, it looks like we do have a Nova on the Batrider, but Batrider already have a Hood of Defiance finish. Jeez, look at how farmed that bat is, and Medusa really can't see us as easily. Well, she is spamming that Mystic Stick. It looks like Medusa is perhaps a little bit trouble. Mirana coming right in from the backside, trying to get a kill. Burning, by the way, does have the power treads already finished, and Medusa's on the run right now. Anybody backing him up? There is a ultimate being used by Medusa, and that's going to slow everybody. But back on the middle here, Clockwork is going to grab somebody. It looks like, oh no, Vengeful Spirit being caught out. It's going to get right click, but here goes Shadow Fiend in big trouble as well. Yaphets is going to race the wave out. Ultimate being dropped. He's going to turn one more race. No more race. Oh, he's canceling his races. Lich gonna get the gonna survive, as well as Clockwork being survived, and Tron TPing in there and getting the kill. We do have Mirana in here as well. The arrow's gonna hit from afar, leaping forward, and look at Burning sniping people off with the arrow. I didn't even see that arrow being fired off, but the result has been hit, and man, Burning getting that very important kill. And the fact that normally I would say, oh man, Burning got the kill there, but he, ZSMJ's farming on the bot lane. Guess what? ZSMJ was driven back already by the Visage and the Mirana combo. So yeah, right now the Scourge just picked up a couple kills here and there, but very important kills that's being picked up. And Batrider is just rising his butt off on the top lane. Now the only thing that's really slowing them down is Yaphets not exactly having the best game, considering that he just got picked off on the mid lane, even though he set up his teammates, obviously. Fiend's one of those here that you don't really need to worry too much. Yeah, he's gonna die once or twice and he's gonna have a tough time. But look at CS right now, 77 CS in 13 minutes. That's pretty impressive farm, considering that he's just got killed. So my question is, what mid-game item is the DK team's going to be going for? Obviously, we're going to see a lot of things like mech, pipe, and drums. And you can see the early foreshadowing of that, the early hood from the Batrider. Instead of he could have got the Blink Dagger very easily. But instead, he's going to be going for early pipe for the kind of a more of an easy mini push. And it looks like the birds are coming right in. I thought the bird's going to stun right there. You can see the micro from a Visage player. The Visage nowhere near the birds. And he's making sure that he's going to be able to set up kills for his teammates elsewhere. So yeah, the mech's going to be up on Visage, I imagine. Yeah, I imagine it's going to be, well, quickly see on the CS. It's only got 17 CS, so, and they don't have any towers, so that's really gonna slow them down. But yeah, right now DK really want a mech, really want the pipe, and even on the drums. And I do believe, yeah, we are gonna see a drums Mirana. We did see a bit of this from Complexity back in 2012, in the beginning of 2012, where they really love to run a drums Mirana. and really make Mirana's one of those heroes that if you're hitting on your spells, back in the mid lane here, Shadow Fiend gonna get initiated up the clock hooking, magic missile power shots, gonna grab that easy kill. Yeah, Mirana's one of those heroes that if you hit all your spells, she does give you a lot of burst damage. But that's a big if, because, you know, Starsfall does not have the biggest AoE. The arrow is not, you know, a for sure thing. But if you do get the drums, you of course make yourself a lot tankier, and also give your team a lot more kind of killing potential up on the early game. Up the top lane here, you can see the Flaming Lasso being dropped, and of course, good chain stun here from the Familiars getting the kill. And that's going to be a tier 1 tower here from the Bat Rider. So Bat Rider beginning the assault on the top lane, and that's really going to kind of put up the pressure for just about everybody else. And the Mirana with that double damage, I think they're going to start working on the bot lane as well. Meanwhile, Shaker doesn't have too much of anything. Shaker very, very poor in this stage of the game. No Soul Ring, no Arcane Boots. I did see a Sage's Mask up on the Windrunner early on Chuan. I think he is going to be going for Soul Ring. Soul Windrunner is actually, I don't want to say a tried and true thing, but when you're playing a support Windrunner and you need a spam power shot, one of the best way to actually get enough mana to do so, if you don't have the Arcane Boots, that is. Medusa farm check, 51 CS in 15 minutes. And isn't this a Medusa game? Everybody's asking me right now. Yes, this is a Medusa game. Although ZSMJ, this is actually a very, very common occurrence for ZSMJ. He starts off very slow, and that's not because he can't farm anything. He's still one of the best last hitter in the game. It's just because generally when you're playing against ZSMJ, you throw a trialing at him and you try to shut him down. And most teams actually successfully can shut ZSMJ down at the early game. What is more dangerous about ZSMJ as a carry player is his teammates around him and the fact that he won't miss CS once he's left alone. So as long as you just basically take out your eyes off of him for a single moment, he is going to start lasting like a crazy man. And you can see, yeah, he's just lasting just about everything. And very, very interesting here. Pick up the Void Stone first after the power threats. He just wants to have as much mana regen as possible here, I suppose, to spam that Mystic Snake, and of course that makes his magic shield a bit better. Mountain shield, excuse me. Legend has come on bot lane here with Face Boot already picked up here, and looking for a kill or two, but unfortunately really unable to do so as these guys are playing somewhat defensive. Did I see that buckler? Yep, that is a buckler finish and a headdress soon to follow. Where is the Shadow Fiend? Shadow Fiend just jungling it up, gonna be going for a Black King bar. Shaker, item check, not too much to speak of. What about the Sentinel? Do they have anything? Yeah, we're gonna see a Soul Ring attempt here by Chuan, do so with that Void Stone, and that's pretty much it. Phase Vanguard finisher on YYF. A very, very slow game in terms of both farm and kills. Both teams doing a very, very good job counter ganking and whatnot. The only thing that's really being sub here right now is the fact that Shadow Fiend is kind of has to jungle. He actually can't even go into the lane. You can see that generally Shadow Fiend don't really love to go that Bracer first. Now, there is that Drum Shadow Fiend build, but Drum Shadow Fiend was never really a thing until Dota 2. And the reason that he picked up a Bracer is just a sign that he's being killed too much and he just won the extra HP. Never a good sign for a Shadow Fiend player to have, by the way. He's gonna go on the top lane here, and Bat Rider does already have the Blink Dagger, and I'm very surprised to see that Bat Rider has not really begun to teleport on the bot lane and start diving towers and set up kills. Between a Hood and Blink could really get so many easy kills, especially when Sentinel doesn't have that really early game presence. All they really have is a Clockwork, which by the way has already TP in, but looks like we're gonna have a wrap around. The Chain Frost is gonna hit on Mirana. Mirana is gonna die just outright here, and the Clock Hook in here against KSSS, and the Chain Frost just bounced right in. And LGD.sGty grabs a very, very key double kill, and that's going to allow ZSMJ to farm on the mid lane. Look at him rising it up. Meanwhile, his teammates on the bot lane, and after that double kill, we'll be pushing that tier 1 tower. So very, very big win here by LGD, and a very, very big loss by the Scourge team, because Scourge team is looking for the mid-game dominance, and every kill that you give away right now is it's a big swing. It's really a big swing. You're going to have to earn, you know, twice as hard to earn those kills back. Tier 1 tower is going to be protected, as the Sentinel team not exactly too decent at pushing. They don't have things like Diabolic Edict, they don't have things like you know, Wrath of Nature or anything like that, so I'm able to get that kill. Bat Rider wasn't able to TP in because all the guys on Scourge died that quickly. It looks like we're going to see a lot more teleport score comes in, gets TPs in, and cancels it. Yeah, I think he miscued. Yeah, he definitely miscued. As you can see, he's leaping forward, going on the bot lane. So a rare mistake here by Burning. But I really dislike that TP. Not only, well, not because it was canceled or anything, because that was just, you know, a slight mistake. But the fact that he canceled, or he TP right in the front line, which allowed the Sentinel to see, well, looks like Mirana's TPing, and in fact, the entire creep wave has saw 3 or 4 heroes, which indicates, well, DK says, we're gonna just push your towers, you know we're coming, what can you do about it? And LGD says, alright, we can't really defend against this push because you guys are just way stronger as a mid-game lineup. So instead, we're going to try to trade towers. So this is actually one of the smartest things that you can do. If you're not strong, well, avoid the fight, man. That sounds like some Art of War by Sun Tzu. It looks like they're going to just try to trade a tower. Tower is going to be quickly destroyed. The question is, anybody going to TP against this tower? Do they even have the glyph? That's the question. No glyph being dropped. The familiars trying to get a stun off, and can they find this Clockwork? Clockwork's going to dodge, well, kind of dodge away. Fizz is going to find him, but really no more kind of follow-up stuns to kind of grab the kill. And looks like they're going to try to get the tier 1 tower up on the top lane as well. The rotation here for LGD is a little bit more impressive, but DK says, alright, we're going to just keep on pressuring on tier 2. What trade can you get out of this one? And right now LG says, I don't know, man. I don't know what trade we can get. They already got the tier 1 tower. They probably should have rotated for the tier 1 up on the top lane. Perhaps they're going to try to defend this. ZSMJ is going to lead the charge. Perhaps trying to use that stone gauge to slow everybody down, but nobody's looking at him. And of course, everybody's already out of that vicinity. BKB already finished here on Yaphets, and that's pretty impressive. 124 creep kills in 20 minutes despite having 2 death. That's gotta impressive. You gotta keep in mind that Dota 1, this score check does not count neutral creeps. He spent a lot of times in that neutral camp. So yeah. He's, or at least I don't think it counts neutral creeps. So, despite being in the jungle for basically 10 minutes or at least 5 minutes or so, he's been able to CS quite a bit. So, Yaphets says, man, ZSMJ, you're known for that Medusa, but I'm known for this Shadow Fiend. And he is trying to put a little bit of pressure up on the top lane here as well. In terms of tower count, looks like we have a 2-3 in the advantage here of DK. Now, you assume DK would have a bigger advantage considering that this team is, again, the early game team. And they really want to push a little bit more. Drums is already finished here. Shadow Fiend level 13 with that blocking bar. Now, blocking bar Shadow Fiend ultimate is not a guarantee as there's multiple ways to cancel it. The swap is a hardcore way to cancel it. Clockwork does have 2 spells to cancel it. Of course, I'm talking about the hook shot does go through magical immunity as well as the Clockwork. The cogs will push people away if even if you're magically immune or not. And of course, there is a Chain Frost which applies a mini stun, which will also be able to cancel that Shadow Fiend as well. So despite having a BKB, ooh, Clockwork initiate here against, ooh, no, KSSS out of that cog. The arrow is gonna miss as well. So no harm, no foul there, but the Clockwork ultimate down though. They're not gonna push considering that their mech is down as well, and they gotta defend their bot tower. And Shadow Fiend TP's right in, and he's gonna continue to rise it up. A quick Mantis tower will really allow them to push up on the high ground. But one of the more annoying thing about pushing against a Medusa is that, well, not only can she really easily defend a push with Mystic Snake and Split Shot, she will drain your mana and HP while doing so. So you're going to see a lot more of that as the LGD will begin to turtle against the mid-game supremacy lineup here of Scourge. It looks like Scourge is going to grab more advantage out of the map. Roshan is basically theirs for free. Sentinel really can't take this team fight. And again, they're going to do the next best thing, which says, alright, we're not going to contest your Roshan. We know you're doing it. Well, they don't have physical vision to see it, but it's very obvious when you have 3 or 4 heroes missing off the map and you're not defending these towers, nor are you really defending that one. You know that Roshan is, yeah, being done, and they're going to check it out. Ooh, Shaker, got to be very, very careful. One more hit from Roshan would have actually killed him. It looks like, in fact, they're going to try to defend this one. I'm not really sure they can. Roshan is actually surviving quite a bit. If Lich could get that Chain Frost off, would be big. The Rocket's going to scope everything out. Shadow Fiend's going to grab the Aegis. Oh, and there is a arrow. Ooh, arrow's gonna get dodged here by the Lich. Very, very clutch ultimate here by the Mirana, allowing them to run away like that. But I was gonna say, man, that was cutting it very, very close, and they even got the tower as well. ZSMJ already well on his way to the Lincoln Sphere. And the Lincoln Sphere, if you guys haven't seen any Medusa game, the reason that you get Lincoln Sphere on Medusa is, well, it gives her everything that she needs. Ring of Health is very, very key for laning regen. Ring of, or excuse me, the Void Stone, very, very important for mana regen, spamming Mystic Snake, and and Mystic Snake and recharge your mana shield. Mana regen is a very, very big component of Medusa play. But more importantly, the stats. The stats is so crucial for Medusa. And last but not least, the Lincoln Sphere, also very, very important for the spell block. As you know that the Medusa sits on the front line quite a bit and will be doing a lot of, or tanking a lot of spells. Being able to block one spell every 20 seconds is very, very crucial. Medusa is a hero that stays in the middle of team fight for at least a minute. If her team is not dead, she will stay in the middle of team fight for a long time. In which case, ooh, Blink Dagger initiation against the Windrunner, but oh, the Chain Frost being dropped. But the birds are tanking the Chain Frost quite a bit. Can it get a lot of kills? So Batrider trying to pop the pipe, has not popped it just yet. Maybe the pipe charges has already been gone. Mirana leaps into the trees here. Oh no, she's stuck. And would the Shaker grab the kill? No, it looks like Mirana is going to be in there for a long time. Meanwhile, Windrunner has already got picked off. And that's gonna be it. The rocket is gonna see on the Mirana. Can it actually cut her out? Very big mistake here by Mirana, not actually using a run of the drum charges. Whenever you use whenever you have a middle team fight, you always pop a drum charge. But regardless of that, the Batrider initiation, a tanky Batrider initiation, I have to say, has gotten that one kill, and they're going to try to push off of this. And you can see the split shot here from Gorgon starting to happen. Fissure is going to drop here, and they're going to try to drive away that Gorgon, at least eat a little bit of her mana shield, but she easily breaks that creep wave apart. The tower is going to get destroyed here by Yaphets, but it looks like the Sentinel is going to try to chase a couple of guys. Nope, that's going to be it for the engagement. Normally, when you have advantage like that, you expect to get the tower and perhaps adjust a bit more advantage, perhaps just hit the tier 3 tower for a bit. The bird's gonna get resummoned. Okay, no, the birds got destroyed. Vice is giving away a little bit of extra charity. He did not want to do so, but right now DK assuming a very, very powerful advantage. If there was a Dota 2 growth graph chart, I'm assuming it's gonna be at least 5k, close to 7,500 go advantage here for DK. Even though the score is 5-5, they have the Force of Roshan advantage. They have the tower advantage. Well, when I say tower advantage, they only have a tower advantage, but I imagine they're farming a lot better, as well as a lot of these guys are just giving most of the CS to Medusa. Quick Medusa farm check here, 136, 83 on Clockwork, and that's pretty much it. Lich and the Windrunner just have nothing. Meanwhile, if you look at the Scourge, 104 on Burning, 104 on Shuriken, and 185 on Yaphet. The farming advantage is just massive. It's just insanely massive. Yaphet up to 2100 gold, just have bought something big. Blade of Alacrity, I imagine. Ooh, going for a straight butterfly. Wow, he's not messing around. Generally, when you're going for Shadow Fiend, you want the Yasha into Manta, because it really is, I mean, movement speed is very, very key. The fact that you're getting a lot more illusions, especially when you have minus armor to work with, is very, very key as well. But no, he's gonna go straight for Butterfly. That's insane. Unless he's gonna go for something crazy like a shotgun. But I don't think he really is. No, Butterfly already finished. Somebody's going to be finishing his BKB. And if you're wondering who is going to grab his BKB, I'll give you guys a quick second to think about who's going to grab that BKB. And the Batrider, I have to tell you that, it's going to be Burning. Every time I see Burning play Mirana, originally I was never too impressed with Burning's Mirana. Or at least, sorry, not impressed with Burning's item choice. It always made me question, why do you actually go for Black King Bar on a Mirana? Like, I mean, it's just not a good carry item, and it doesn't give you too much damage. It's 4k gold. You can get a Yasha, be a wall on your way to your Manta style. I never really understood why he got BKB until much more recently, when I saw a lot more pro game. The reason you go for BKB Mirana is that you don't want to be the late game carry. In fact, you don't try to be the late game carry. Guess what? On the other side of the map, there is the best late game carry hero in the game. You don't want to compete on the same angle. You want to compete on a different frontier, which is that mid-game supremacy I've been talking about. BKB Mirana at this stage of the game, where, again, Medusa can't do too much damage. You jump in here, you pop your BKB, and guess what the Sentinel team can actually do? Nothing. Chain Frost, you laugh at that. Magical Missile, Power Shot, you laugh at all of that. So, BKB is a very, very big, high risk, high reward kind of item at this stage of the game. Again, you are sacrificing a lot of late game, but Shackle Shot does hit on 2 hero. Can it do a little bit of pot shot damage? No, the bird's being micro decently here by Shuriken. And these birds just gonna get focused though. Look at all these guys hanging around. That's 100 go, and that's another 100 go. Unless they were resummoned. they were not. And they're going to try to push this one in, but look at the creep wave being jumped on the mid lane as well as the top lane. Sooner or later, DK's got to go back and defend. They're going to try this one more time, maybe two more times, but look at that power shot, rocket, your entire creep wave is dead. Not only that, you're going to have a Mystic Snake for fun, you know, draining a little bit of mana as well. Yeah, DK's got to back off, and LGD playing what they're known to be playing best, which is Turtle Mode Dota. And the Shadow Fiend's got to be very, very careful. He's going to get hooked. Oh, the hook barely missed here by YYF. I probably think, I'm pretty sure they would have got the kill. Yeah, sure, Shadow Fiend had the BKB, but he would have been surrounded by 5 heroes without a teleport scroll to run away. So if that hook hit, would have been huge. Smoke of the Sea is going to get used here right now by the Sentinel team, and they're going to try to pick off a couple of lagging hero behind. But how important was it here for Sentinel to make sure that creep wave is constantly pushed out? The impressive thing here about ZSMJ and his team right now, as they're trying to pick off a couple heroes, these guys are hidden very, very well, and the illusions is going to get nuked down. So they are very, very sure that there's a smoked hero running around here, and that's why they're hiding. Yeah, one of the more impressive things about LGD is their hero movements and their trades. Generally, when you're losing a tower here and there, especially if you're the weaker team, you always have to get smart trades. For example, remember when they're going for the tier 1 tower, a 5-man push on the tier 1 tower, like, well, we can't defend that. Let's get that. When the Roshan was happening here for DK, they got the tier 1 up on top. So again, when you can't really contest on the fights, try to at least hit on the enemy teams and make sure that you recuperate a little bit of that loss. Also, when the Scourge team was doing this big push on the bot lane, you see that ZSMJ was, you know, doing a very, very important job of pushing out the top creep wave. Rocket was being sent on the mid lane to keep that lane push. So a very, very smart trade, very, very smart hero movement is really keeping LG team in this game right now. If you try to strat against a superior team, and if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to just lose in 25 minutes. Medusa doesn't really contribute to the team well until she has a Lincoln Sphere Manta, and then she just begins contributing. You still need another tier 4 item really. Whether it's a Butterfly, whether it's a Titanic, whether it's a Divine Rapier, whatever that item might be, you need at least Lincoln Sphere, at least a Manta Style, plus another item to start contributing. But this is exactly what I mean. Medusa says, alright, we see you pushing on me. We're going to try to push up the creep wave a little bit more. The rockets being sent in the mid lanes. Look at how pushed the creep wave is. Even if you lose a team fight here, you're not really in too much danger of getting double racks. You are going to lose one lane of racks. The arrow's going to hit here. The Lincoln Sphere is going to get blocked. Rocket, Terror, Power Shots, Mystic Snakes. Oh, the Bat Rider is going to drag somebody out. Can you focusing on BKB? Ultimate's going to use on Chuan. Chuan is dead. Lich, very, very low. BKB gets popped here. Chain Frost going to get jumped, but Chain Frost not going to do too much of anything. The Glyph is going to get used. Mirana leaps right back out, but look at how much damage that Chain Frost has done. The Mystic Snake to follow up here, and is that going to be it about that push? I think that is going to be it. The rocket, excuse me, the arrow is going to hit on the Lich, but really too far away. Riding the creep wave, riding the momentum, trying to go in to get a little bit more. The Mystic Snake doing so much damage. Everybody's down to half HP. Look at the Medusa though, just sitting on the front line. Well positioned here by ZSMJ, not really eating the initial barrage of all those hits. Another Mystic Snake being dropped, man. Such annoying thing. Yaphets going to use his Aegis as is about to time out. The tower has gone down. Shaker trades his life. Oh, the Night hooking for the kill. BKB has now been on cooldown. Yaphets trying out to help out his teammate. Look at his right click power with the Butterfly just in the front line. The Shackle shot hits onto the Shadow Fiend. That's a huge Shackle, and Medusa being ignored just by about everybody. They know that they can't kill the Medusa quick enough, and now Visors know he's going to be dying, so he's going to run right in, trying to make sure that his teammates is going to run out alive. Will they run out alive? Just, oh, Shackle shot. No, that's not going to hit here. The Ventrals, oh, sorry. I thought the Clockwork for a second here was on the Scourge team, so a big push being defended here by ZSMJ. Despite the great initiation, that was a 10-second BKB from the Shadow Fiend, that was a 10-second BKB from the Mirana, and a perfect initiation against the Windrunner. Despite of that, only losing a base tower. A couple important things to point out in that particular team fight. You can see that ZSMJ, literally nobody even looked at him, and that's not because of the Stone Gates or anything like that. That's because already at this point in the game, with a single Yasha and a single Lincoln Sphere, he will tank so much damage. He's not unkillable by any means. You can easily kill him if you focus 4 or 5 people on him. But really, if you're focusing on ZSMJ, that's a losing battle, simply because he's going to tank so much for his team, and likely he's going to have buyback, because ZSMJ is that caliber of carry player that he's not going to have a buyback for a single moment. So you focus, you know, literally 3,000 worth of damage on ZSMJ, taking effect of, you know, magic resistance, armor, and everything. You focus 3,000 damage on ZSMJ, he buys back. The rest of your team is completely healthy, and the DK team is completely out of spells, out of mana, out of cooldown. That is a losing proposition, and that's why DK is choosing not to focus on ZSMJ. But if you're not focusing on ZSMJ, that's not really a winning proposition either. He might not be doing the highest amount of damage either, but he's hitting for a respectable 150, and he's split-shotting it up as well, so everybody was losing HP so very rapidly. Of course, that's I don't want to, you know, really leave the other heroes out of the picture, but, you know, things like Terror, Rockets, Power Shot, they will spam your HP down. Shadow Fiend's going to pick up yet another Aegis Immortal. He has picked up a Yasha now. Mad Style's going to be his choice. Although, as I say that, the Shadow Fiend being played by Yaphets, he does sometimes like to go for a SMY, Sanjin Yasha, and the reason that he likes SMY is that SMY is very much like a BKB on Mirana, a very powerful mid-game item. It gives you the attack speed, it gives you the HP, it gives you a little bit of everything, which is what you want on a mid-game engagement team. But it seems like he's very, very far ahead in terms of farm, where he could afford a Manta style, which I assume that's going to be what he's going for. Mirana's got 3k gold in his bank. I think he's going to either go for a Manta style of her own, or going to be going for something like a MKB, because you know that butterfly is going to be coming very, very soon on that Medusa. So, you know, kind of hedging your bet a little bit is not too bad. One thing to say about Manta Style, generally Manta Style is a very, very powerful item against most teams, and perhaps the reason why that we won't see Mirana go Manta Style, and perhaps the reason why we see Shadow Fiend delaying this Manta Style to now is because of Stone Gaze. Stone Gaze does do a lot of damage to Illusion. Looks like Drum's gonna get popped as well. They're gonna just run right and try to pick off somebody, but nobody's waiting up on. No, they're trying to, still running right in. The Fissure's gonna hit. Looks like the Shackle Shot not gonna hit though. They're gonna focus everything on Venge. Shadow Fiend pops his ultimate, not really doing too much, just really applying a lot of slow. But look at the Stone Gaze slowing through the BKB. It looks like everybody's on the run. The BKB are almost running out. They have done 0 damage to the tower. Shackle Shot onto 2 before Light of Heaven. There was Chuan, and the Treasure not really helping out here against Shuriken. Shuriken really gonna get it down. Look at the clock on the front line, tanking up with the Plate Mail, Vanguard, and the Hood, trying to slow everybody down. The Rocket's gonna hit. Oh my god, the Mystic Snake just chasing everybody away. The Fissure is gonna hit, but again, a successful defense here for the Radiant for the Sentinel team. The Bird's gonna get slowed. Yeah, the Bird's gonna apply a couple of stuns, but a well done defense, a very, very powerful defense. Again, these BKB charges, they're getting lower and lower. ZSMJ is getting more and more gold, and getting more and more damage. Is gonna be more and more difficult to avoid him in these upcoming team fights. Did somebody get picked off? Yeah, somebody got picked off, and the Hook comes in right now here against Burning. Not gonna get the kill as a, yeah, it's not gonna get the kill, but the accuracy of those Hooks coming from afar just shows you why YYF is such a powerful Clockwork player. But MVP of the game so far for me is Chuan, as he's hitting all these insane power shots, or more importantly, the Shackle Shots. As those Shackle Shots are just clutch, grabbing grabbing the key 1 heroes to Shadow Fiend, or grabbing 2 heroes at the same time, and really allowing ZSMJ to really get the right click off. Force Staff is going to be attempted here by the winner. Next mech has already been finished. Yeah, of course. Who has a Hood? Nobody has a Pipe here just yet, but I imagine YYF will be going for that next. Meanwhile, Drum Charge is draining low. Pipe has been finished. Mech has been finished for a long time, but really that's pretty much it. This is as strong as DK will ever be. Maybe Shadow Fiend, when he finishes another tier 4 item, I really imagine it's going to be a Manta Style. Again, that's going to be their true peak. Probably when, yeah, Mirana finish her next big item. But that's, again, you know, you're running against the clock here, against ZSMJ. ZSMJ just using illusions, already applying pressure on these exterior towers. I really, by the way, I love the move by DK though. Against any less experienced team, they would have easily got a team wipe and just won. What I meant by that was they had a creep wave momentum already going. They smoked like right here and charged right in the team fight. And maybe they were actually scoped out by this observer, or whatever the case might be. The Radiant or Sentinel team completely knew, because a lot of times when you see a push coming and your creep waves is over here, yeah, you stand up the hill, you know, get ready to fire off your rockets and power shot, but when they storm up the hill like that, you are dead. But perhaps thanks to this observer ward, very, very well placed, they were able to back up all the way over here, and the BKB charge were being used, and to be honest, the Shadow Fiend ultimate was pretty lackluster, didn't do too much damage, and because of that, they dodged a very, very big smoke gank, and didn't get Rex. But most other team right there would have got team wiped here, and would have got Rex, and this game would have been over. But right now, you can start burning up another, about 200 CS Shadow Fiend, up to about 275. Jesus, almost 338 minutes of farm. But you can see ZSMJ starting really to catch up. That's what LGD does. Make sure that ZSMJ gets free farm. Make sure he doesn't get ganked, and gives him basically every single wave. Now he has the Eagle Horn. Does he have the buyback? He does not have a buyback. A very rare occurrence when ZSMJ is out of buyback. So this is a very, very key time to hit. But perhaps that's why he has actually bought the Eagle Horn, because realize that the creep wave is mostly push and Scourge is going on a farm time itself. I mean, if Scourge is farming, you could farm as well. You know, you don't really need buyback if they're not pushing you. So maybe ZSMJ has realized that as well, and that's why he's gonna pick up that Eagle Horn right now. Eagle Horn, very, very important, as he's gonna add a lot more agility, a lot more armor, but more importantly, upgrades into that butterfly, and that 35% evasion, or was it 30% evasion? I think it's 35%. It's just absolutely backbreaking for any hero without MKB, because you already have, what, 28 armor, thanks very much so to that Frost armor, as well as a lot of your stats. You have a whole bunch of magic, mana shield, you have, you know, a lot of HP to work with, and that 35% evasion on top of that is just impossible. It's really, really impossible. Scourge says we really can't break your high ground right now, so we're gonna get this tier 2 tower for now. I don't expect these guys to go up on the high ground unless the Sentinel makes a big mistake. Now these guys, I mean, if they want to go high ground, this is the lane that they will go into, but they're gonna back off for now and push out the other lane. But that's gonna give a completed butterfly here for Mirana. But yeah, Mirana right now is trying to do a lot of right click damage. Really, I want to see the next item here for the Shadow Fiend, as well as Mirana, is gonna be the lifesteal. With BKB, lifesteal gets increasingly better. I mean, sure, generally you don't need lifesteal too much when you have blocking bar, because you don't assume that you will take too much damage. But at this point, against the Medusa, she will just stand her ground and right click you. And the only way that you're gonna just kind of sustain your right click ability is through lifesteal, because everybody's already doing, you know, insane amount of damage with the butterfly and you know, a blocking bar and whatnot. That's the butter being finished, and looks like they're trying to set up gank. Yeah, they're using burning the bait, just hiding out over here, perhaps trying to snipe off a courier as well. I think that's, I mean, there's great tales being told about Yeah, there are great tales being told about ZSMJ getting its courier snipe, but that is a story for another day. Divine Rapier, Sacred Relic being sniped off, but farms it right back. That's another ZSMJ legend that we could talk about at a different time. But for now, Scourge trying to apply pressure up on the mid lane. Perhaps is Roshan back? No, Roshan's not back just yet. I didn't really time the Aegis, but I'm pretty sure Yaphet and his team did. And that Aegis is about to run out. Now, normally in Dota 2, you'd be like, well, Aegis run out, let's go for a team fight. But in Dota 1, you gotta keep in mind that the recent Aegis change was that the Aegis lasts only 6 minutes. The old Aegis always lasts 10 minutes, so if your Aegis runs out, you could just go right back and claim it. Despite how strong this Medusa is already, she's very, very powerful. I don't think they're strong enough to actually leave the base and contest the Roshan. They might actually run up here and then, you know, fire off a rocket or two and scare them away, but really Scourge advantage, especially having all these towers up, is going to make Roshan a lot easier. And you don't really want to get caught out here up in this awkward choke and get chased off. Because Medusa is one of those heroes that want to stand her ground and fight, not exactly a hero that will run away. Because when you're running away, you're not actually right clicking. And yeah, as obvious as that sounds. So in any case, Medusa is now beginning to save buyback goal, as a say that has a butterfly being finished. So it seems like a ZSMJ and his team very confident that a push is not coming anytime soon, or they're going to be winning the next engagement, or else you're going to be mostly saving for buyback. For now, maybe another thing that they're very confident is that the push will not be coming anytime soon, considering that the creep wave is so very pushed out. So this game, in my opinion, is looking grimmer and grimmer for the Scourge team. Not because they have, you know, they're making mistakes or anything like that, but because right now they're playing to the pace of ZSMJ, and that's not a thing you will ever want to do. What I mean by that is they're always trying to defend the towers instead of pushing for their own. when you're playing this kind of mid-game superiority lineup, as you imagine, you want to end the game during the mid-game, and the fact they're not ending it in 43 minutes, I think there has well past their prime. And with the butterfly finish on ZSMJ, they have zero answer to this. Let's not forget about one thing that I tried to talk about earlier, is that Frost Armor is really the unsung hero. It completely nullifies the presence of the Dark Lord on the Scourge team. And yeah, sure, you have Butterfly, that's cute. I have Frost Armor. I mean, it really mitigates a lot of damage. And that's Frost Armor plus Mana Shield, plus Evasion, plus Magic Resistance, and having things like Stone Gaze on top of that. Stone Gaze does go through BKB, so you really will not ever trade a successful right-click war against Medusa. She will just kill you and your team at the same time thanks to Split Shot. So that's where Medusa truly shines. And for the remainder of the game, you'll see Medusa start to get more and more item and get more and more out of control. As we do see Shadow Fiend pick up a Helmet Dominator after the Manta style finish, and they're gonna pick up the Aegis. And Scourge, Sentinel says, yeah, you can pick up the Aegis and whatnot. This is gonna be the last hurrah here for the Scourge team if they can't deal with 7 lives. Of course, Aegis and Cheese being the other 2 lives. If they can't deal with 7 lives, they're not ever gonna do it. So we're going to see the Aegis and Cheese, and probably either a very aggressive gank attempt by DK or a big push attempt here by DK. In any case, one thing I want to really kind of drill at home for you guys, new players out there, you know, seeing ZSMJ about to really go hardcore carry mode in this game with his 333 CS, which by the way, still, well, actually has overtaken Yaphet already. Yeah, as you see, ZSMJ about to carry. Don't forget what put him in this particular position. Remember, he had about 50 creep kills and 50 creep kills in about 15 minutes of farm. That's really bad farm. Again, not because ZSMJ can't last it or anything, but because of the trialing thrown against him. But how do you recover from a 50 CS in 15 minutes to 45 minutes having how much? 350 CS? How do you recover from that? That's your teammates warding in correct positions. That's your teammates allowing you to have that farm. That's your teammates being able to trade towers as enemies pushing your towers. That's it's all very much so a team game. It's not a solo farming kind of experience for ZSMJ here. Again, I don't want to get anything away from him, but if you try to replicate this performance in a pub game, you will not be able to do so unless you have a team around you. So ZSMJ getting ready to carry his own team. Oh, by the way, I have lifesteal now. 34 armor, 35% evasion, magic resistance, mana shield, and now I have lifesteal on top of that. Come burning, he says. Come burning. Looks like we are gonna see the MKB attempt here for Mirana. Again, Mirana having MKB, that's cute. That's cute. We'll actually hit ZSMJ pretty hard. The problem with that is no lifesteal. His Cheese is going to mitigate that a little bit for at least for the next team fight. It looks like they're going to try to come in. The nuke's going to hit ZSMJ. ZSMJ doesn't really care that much. Here we go. A slow push here coming up from Burning. Arrow is going to just scout. But scouting arrow. Here we go. My eyes is on Chuan once again. And let's see how quickly going to destroy on this Rax Mansa. Is going to get popped. And are they going to glyph? Yeah, they are going to glyph. And look at that Shackle. It's going to hit on Yaphets, but really Scourge doesn't care too much. They have the Aegis. It looks like the leap in from Mirana. What the hell was he doing? Now it's kind of trapped in a very awkward position. BKB ultimate being used, but not enough damage being done. Clockwork very tanky, trying to nuke him down. They are going to get the Clockwork, but look at how low is Yaphet. Yaphet will actually drop it. He does have the Aegis Immortal. He's going to pop the Cheese. No, but look at Medusa. Gets 4-stat forward. Going to get 1 kill. ZSMJ has gotten a kill on Yaphet as well. And, oh no, Yaphet, look at the Shackle from Chuan. Chuan doing it down with about 20 HP to survive, and Shadow Fiend is gonna go down a second time, and now the chase goes the other way. That's Aegis, that's Cheese, that's double BKB being used, and that's not a Rax being claimed. ZSMJ, and more importantly, MVB Chuan doing so much work. And I gotta say, that communication here for the Scourge initiation was not good. I think I saw the Firefly kind of through the leap was a little bit of obviously, Burning want to leap from here to here and then pop that BKB and just start cleaning up, but a little bit of missed leap went into inside here and wasted a lot of her time. And more importantly, that Shadow Fiend Breakman Soul, again, just applying slow, not really doing too much damage. 370 CS here from ZSMJ, and that's gonna start to really climb out of control right now as they're starting to get more towers and more gold. At this point, if there's a Dota 2 gold graph, Sentinel's leading by a mile. That's a brave TP here by Burning for realizing that she has leaked as well as BKB. Not going to be too afraid of much of anything. But yeah, that's the Aegis and Cheese, and still not able to re-racks, and ZSMJ is really continuing to farm more and more gold. 3k gold in the bank, still saving for buyback, obviously. And it's sooner or later, ZSMJ will be able to begin to contest Roshan and things of that nature. Double damage, that's going to be grabbed. Notice that he uses Manta style first. Back in Dota 1 mechanic, if you pop your double damage, nearby units with I think a 500 AoE also get a double damage buff. And you're starting to do a little bit more damage. Obviously, Illusion doesn't do too much damage, but hey, it's a free value, as they call it. And here we go, a slow siege happening on the mid lane here. And what can the Scourge team do about it? As you can see, these guys had a making superiority lineup, but was not able to penetrate that base. And if you got no penetration, your end game is looking pretty bad. What did you guys think about that for a moment? Staff is up here on Necrolik, just going for these value-based items, you know, like Vid Booster, very, very good item if you want to end the game, because, I mean, Vanguard's not a good upgrade here for the Vid Booster, and Heart is, you know, a little bit far away from that reach. BKB is up on Batrider. I mean, they have all these really good mid-game items, but just couldn't drive it in for the mid-game. So right now, we are just playing the pace of LGD. LGD slowly grinding the Scourge team out. You know, you can push the creep wave up on the top a little bit. Meanwhile, Medusa's gonna start jungling it away. Here we go. Medusa, 4k gold in the bank. What I imagine what ZSMJ will do is save up gold up to about 6,000 gold and start buying item. And the reason for being so is that you will have enough gold to buy your item as well as saving for buyback. Buyback is all the key right now. Again, Scourge can probably kill Medusa once, definitely not twice. So if you save your buyback, you can't lose. You can't, unless, you know, something huge, horrendous mistake comes out. Also, one thing I want to point out in this particular game that you will not see in many other pro games even, and definitely not in a single pub game. Has ZSMJ got caught in a single time? Has he died a single time at all? No, he scores 2-0, which, again, for a very, very slow game like this, 12-9, his score is very, very low. But has he ever get caught? Has he ever even been in danger of getting caught? No. That's the thing about ZSMJ. He will never make that mistake. And if you try to, you know, replicate that farm in a pub game, you know, you'll begin to venture very, very deep, and you'll be like, yeah, fine, I have good map awareness, I have a TP score, I could get away. I have Stone Gaze and all that stuff. ZSMJ never even goes in that danger. Like, he just doesn't get caught. That's why he's regarded as a very, very powerful carry. When you don't make those mistakes, you know, you really force your opponent's hand. And right now, your opponent's hand is heavily forced. Mirana, in any normal game, if you look at items like these, you imagine, wow, that's a very, very farm Mirana. Where's that Shadow Fiend? Extremely, extremely farm Shadow Fiend. Even has a Alpha Wolf for a little bit extra plus damage. But is that enough against ZSMJ? ZSMJ is going to be going for the Reaver. Yep, that is the Satanic. Satanic gives you what, 175% lifesteal for 3 seconds? Is that it? Yeah, 75% lifesteal. That's fair. That's fair. So you're not going to kill him instantly. If you're going to kill him, he does not have buyback right now. But again, they're so confident with their lead right now. I don't even think they even need the buyback. If you're not going to kill him instantly, he will just pop that Satanic and just turn around and then kill everybody else. And you know what the more disgusting thing to think about is that ZSMJ says, we don't even need to push. You come to us, because if this game goes on longer, I'm going to get another item. So, now obviously it's testing human patience here, obviously. But ZSMJ could easily, again, like I said, just keep playing the beautiful game that he's been playing right now. In fact, I think that's exactly what the case. They're going to push, send in a couple illusions, and try to use those illusions to destroy the tower. And if they don't destroy the tower, they're not going to cry about it. This game will go on. Wow, look at those illusions. Tower's going to get denied. Again, they don't really care. But yeah, if they don't win the game right now, they don't really care. ZSMJ says, I still have a couple more slots to work with. I could get a Divine Rapier. I could get an Aegis Immortal, you know. Well, they have to get the Aegis from Roshan, but that's the idea. Still could sell the treads for a Breach of Travel, so there's a little bit more. There's still at least 2 more slots to work with here. So ZSMJ is content to farm. So this is where the stage of the game where we start to do a little bit of creep check and item check, but I'll let you guys look at that as a ticket drink water. But just to be absolutely clear, at the stage of the game that we are in right now, the reason that the Scorch team can't push is because, well, we saw how the last couple of push went. It just didn't work out despite having a very, very powerful mid game. Uh-oh. Ronan's going to leap out. And of course, Sentinel's not going to push because they have by far way better late game, so they don't need to push. Although I think they will begin to do so right now as Medusa already has farmed enough. Go for the buyback up to another 3k go in bank. And as I say that, no, they're going to back off. There's a gem on Lich. There's a drum on the Lich as well. Let's quickly check 4 staff. Yeah, no pipe. Actually, Clockwork has not gotten a single item. Is everybody saying for buyback? Clockwork has buyback. ZSMJ has buyback, obviously. Nobody else does. So Clockwork has enough to upgrade a pipe. I'm not going to do so. I'm going to save for buyback. Mirana up to another 2.8k gold bank. Shadow Fiend up to another 1.5. Has his own Satanic finish, although his Satanic is going to be a lot less valuable. Now we're saying, well, isn't BKB plus Satanic a very, very good combo? And in fact, it's one of the best combos in the game in terms of item combinations. But like I said previously, there's 4 ways to cancel Blacking Bar on the Sentinel side. There's Swap, there's a Clockwork Hookshot, there's a Chain Frost from the Mini Stun, and there is the Cogs. They will all in some form or one form or another either apply Mini Stun or completely stun Shadow Fiend out of his BKB. So his Satanic's not going to be that reliable. It's going to be the 4th incarnation of Roshan. That's going to be Aegis and Cheese. I think at this stage of the game, you actually don't sell, or in this particular stage of Dota, if you sell the Django, you don't actually get any gold back. So that's such a sad cop-out. It looks like they are going to just drop the drums for now. Picks up the Cheese. Aegis up on the Shadow Fiend. And now are they going to push? Now, I don't want to say that if this game goes on longer and longer and longer, ZSMJ and his team will still retain that advantage. Obviously, ZSMJ only has 6 slots, and between Burning as well as Yaphets, they have 12 slots. And if, let's say, Mirana gets a Divine Rapier, things could get very, very ugly very quickly. Or Shadow Fiend picks up a Divine. But we haven't reached that stage of the point of the game where these guys have that kind of gold to pick up that kind of item. And we are about to reach a stage of the game where ZSMJ will pick up his own Divine Rapier, sitting at 5,000 gold. I'm very, very, I'm pretty sure in about 5 minutes or so, ZSMJ is going to go about to 8k gold if nothing happens, obviously. And then they're going to go into a Divine Rapier mode. And then he's going to push. So that's a game of Medusa. Farm Divine and win. Isn't that a good slogan? Farm Divine and win. That's a ZSMJ slogan if I've ever seen one. Using Alpha Wolf to scout. Here we go. Push attempt number 5. Yeah, they're gonna walk up. Glyph is by the way up for a long time. Hero's gonna be scouting it up. There's a tier. Illusion's gonna be sent on the front lines here to tank it up, but short work is made of them is ZSMJ force that being used back and forth here. And trying to chase hits, but a shackle shot here against Burning. Burning is dead, trying to pop the cheese. Maybe had a spike, what the case might be. Mantis pops up through Chain Frost, slowing everybody on defensive swap here. BKB gets popped here. Yaphets using that Satanic, trying to right click his way out, but Satanic is almost done and they keep on chasing. Is there a buyback here from Burning? No buyback at all. Whatever the case might be, that spike on Burning, the shackle shot really is what made sure they got the kill on Burning, and it looks like they're going to try to keep on pushing, but Aegis has not been used. Satanic is going to be cooling down. BKB has been used. Are they going to try this one more time, considering that they haven't used their cheese yet either? So they are still retaining a couple of lives. Meanwhile, these guys have used a couple of their buybacks, I think. No, Clockwork has not used the buyback, and ZSMJ says, alright, you're going to push one more time? I don't have buyback. Doesn't matter, because I have Divine. Wow, that's a ballsy play by ZSMJ, but alright. We'll see how quickly everybody just melts to the fire of ZSMJ. But there is no more glyph. That's a big one here. Yaphets walks right in, another shackle shot. GG time by ZSMJ. Right click in the middle of everything. No F given right now. Yeah, nice stun by the way. Oh yeah, I'm full HP. I'm full HP. Are you guys at full HP? I don't think so. Oh, Shadow Fiend. Oh yeah, that's cute. That's cute. Welcome to ZSMJ. Farm Casual Divine, win the game. Honey Badger, ZSMJ, no fuck given. And this is a march down to the throne. And yeah, I don't think this game was ever, I mean, dramatic in any sense, or climatic, any kind of, whatever the case is. This game is not that, you know, epic. But this is a Medusa game for you. I mean, this is a ZSMJ Medusa game for you. It brings a smile to my face. Again, I don't want to make this game, you know, sound boring or anything, but that's to my opinion, that's the way that Medusa is meant to be played, and LGD has perfected the strategy. They, you know, 25 minutes in the game against any other team, DK would have won this game easily. But it's good turtling, good trading of resources, making sure that ZSMJ is never ganked. ZSMJ, of course, never gets ganked because he's always good watching the map, never expose himself for too much, and still somehow farms up 500 creep kills. Yikes. Alright, here we go. One thing I want to point out is that he's always making sure that ZSMJ is always making sure that he's toggling his split shots on and off, depending what he needs with the split shots on his illusions. Almost being 90% of the time, almost you always want split shot up on your Medusa. Oh, smoke, and it's gonna turn right back. The reason you want your split shot up when you apply the illusion is that your illusions also split shot, and it really does help your damage increase. And shackle shot not gonna latch right here, but here we go. ZSMJ up on the front line, Chain Frost applying the slow here. It's Shadow Fiend using that ultimate, but really not gonna do too much. Pops the Satanic, trying to right click here to focus on the Medusa. Medusa taking a little bit of damage here, using her ultimate. No, out to mana this way, and looks like the defensive swap Satanic, and this is why you pick Drow Ranger. And that's why during the Pickman stage I said, man, when you're playing that 4+1 strat, they're going to try to focus on Medusa, but he's swapping back out. Satanic, it looks scary for a while because that mana shield went out. But nope, GG gets called here, and Medusa and ZSMJ claims another win under their belt. Hope you guys enjoyed this particular game. I'll leave the endgame menu up here. But ZSMJ, 6-0, 23-12 is the score. Very, very low kill count game, but when you play a low kill count game with ZSMJ and Medusa, you're happy. Hope you guys enjoyed this cast, and until next time, this is Luminous signing off to you guys.